Alright, so we've got the wort up to the boil, and you can see this one is actually producing a lot more foam than the Irish Stout I did. I do think that Jerry's suggestion is proving to work out awesomely, because I've never had a hot break like this before. So we'll just kind of continue to let it reabsorb back down into the wort, and as soon as it clears up a bit here, we'll add our hops. You can see I did bring the water level up just a bit, so that way we can get a bit better hop utilization during the boil, because we'll lose a decent amount of this to evaporation. So we will see you guys in just a second. Alrighty, so you guys can see our hot break is now sort of reabsorbed back down into the beer. There's still a bit of foam up here, but I'm not too worried about it. So what we're going to do, I've got this recipe called for 1/2 ounce of Challenger bittering hops. The package came with 1 ounce, so I pulled that out, and that's about half the package there, so they smell really good. We'll hand this over to Jerry. I'm going to arm myself with my my safety device here, because when we put that in, you'll see the instant reaction is it's going to create a lot of foam, and because I topped up the water, or I topped up the wort so high, the chances of a boil over if I just let it set are pretty high. So let me make sure this works. Okay,
ready to go?
We are ready to go. Groovy. And away it goes. It's
wow.
like blop, blop. Groovy.
Turned it green, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just give this a little bit of a stir here. Make sure they're not sticking to the bottom or anything. Though they usually get instantly broken up when they hit that boiling water, or boiling wort. So now what we'll do, we'll just keep an eye on this to make sure it doesn't come through any more breaks here with any more foam, and we will we'll set the countdown now for 1 hour. And we'll see you guys when it comes time to add our Irish moss and the final addition. Alrighty, so we've been boiling now for 45 minutes. It's time to add our Irish moss. So you added in the last 15 minutes of the boil. So here we go. And voila, now in about 13 more minutes, we will be adding the last hops addition. So we'll see you then. So we have about a couple minutes left of the boil, and now is the time where we add our aroma hops. We are adding 1 ounce of Tettnang hops to this, and we'll let it boil for another 2 minutes, and then that's it. These are just the aroma hops. They're just for some smell. So, Jerry, whenever you're ready. There's a little foam going on. Groovy. I always have this ready just in case. So we'll set this now for 2 minutes. And as soon as that is done, we will kill the heat and we'll get to cooling this down. Alrighty, so our timer just went off. I just killed the heat on this, and we're going to take our lid here, put it on, and now we're going to get this into an ice bath to cool it down. So we'll see you guys at the sink. Alrighty, so here at the sink, I found that the pot is so hot after that, turning off the heat after the boil, that if you put it in an ice bath right away, it just melts the ice and you're out a lot of your coolant power. So I always give it a quick bath in some just cold tap water. Get it as cold as you can. And then I just let it set in there until the water gets pretty warm, actually. We'll drain that out, and then we'll refill it and add our ice. So we'll just wait for this to fill up, and we'll get that pot in there. So I've got the wort here in an ice bath, cooling down, and while it does that, I find it always a good time to go ahead and mix up the sanitizer for the hydrometer and the auto siphon, the airlock, and my spoon. Obviously we'll need the spoon to stir this to help cool it down quicker. As well, I'll go ahead and I'll mix up the sanitizer and get it sloshed around here inside the fermenter. So that way, as soon as this is cooled down, we can go ahead and just dump it in there and top it up with the cold water and get it fermenting. Okay, so our wort is now cooled down. We've got it to about 74 degrees, and I've got the sanitized bucket here ready to go. So let's go ahead and get this done. We've got the strainer sanitized as well. Just spit that right on there. And away we go. My plan is to pour this into the fermenting bucket, clean this out, and then pour back and forth to aerate. So, here we go. Look at that. Woohoo! Irish moss! Love it. And the strainer looks to have done a great job at catching some of that stuff as it came out at the end. So, you know, to be honest, I have never used the strainer before, and this created quite a bit of foam here. So I think it's actually aerated well enough for my taste. So I'm going to get it up into the sink, and we're going to top it off with some water. So we'll go back to the sink. So we've got the wort here. Check that out. Nice foam. Like I said, using the strainer aerated it really, really well. So I'm not going to worry about having to pour this back and forth. I think that strainer did a great job. And we're actually sitting at 72.7 degrees, so 73 degrees basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run the water here over the thermometer and get the temperature to about the same, about maybe 75 degrees or so. And so that way the water I'm putting in is about the same temperature. We'll be able to just go ahead and pitch our yeast. Won't have to worry about cooling down the wort or anything like that. So I found that putting the thermometer in the water like this is kind of a good way to kind of cheat until you get it where you want it to be. It's a lot quicker than having to wait and see if it balances out okay, I guess. Perfect. There we go. I like to slosh the water around on the top there to kind of melt in that foam a bit. Rinse the edges. And pretty much just get a little bit more oxygen into the wort there. So we'll be taking this up to we're about we're just over 4 gallons now. So I'll go ahead and take it up to just above the 5-gallon mark, and we will take our hydrometer reading and pitch our yeast. So we'll see you guys in just a second.